All right, Scott, I have Cherie for you.
All right, thanks, Ken.
Woo!
Hey, Cherie.
Oh, Scott, how you doing?
All right, how are you? It's so great to talk to you.
I'm doing a lot better because I get to talk to you, Scott.
That's so cool. I love you so much. That last time we talked, it was a whole different world, wasn't it? That was about 5 years ago, right after Reverie, and you were taking care of the dog at Bob's house.
That's right. Yes, yes. And
Now,
they lost their house.
yeah, they lost the house, and I would imagine the dog was very sick at the time. The dog's probably gone, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Susie. Yeah.
yeah, so and now our world is a different place to live. It's
It is for right now. It's funny. We do have a short. We kind of believe that this is going to continue like this, but it won't. It'll be back to the way it was. It
yeah,
always is. We
yeah,
just naturally, as a species, will go back to normal. People can tell you we won't, but we will.
sure, sure. I mean, we have to embrace each other. It's a human thing. Boy, I sure hope so. I'm a huggy guy. You know.
I'm a huggy guy, and I love giving a good firm handshake. And we're going to have just about as much of this as we can, and then that's going to be it.
Yeah, yeah, and you say
Yeah,
that,
we.
and and it brings
Yeah.
me back to when we first met. I don't know if you remember that. That was probably 10 years ago now, and it was the Days of the Dead convention, and you were pretty much done with your day, and I came up, and you were sitting at the bar, and I just said your name. And I lost my shit, and I was a
I
blubber.
remember
Do you
that.
remember that?
That wasn't that Chiller.
I think it was Days of the Dead. It could have been Schaumburg,
Yeah, I think
Illinois.
it was. Yeah, I remember that so well. Yes, you're such a sweetheart, Scott. What a doll.
And the way you greeted me, a big hug. And you'll always be an idol to me, and for that to happen, and they say don't ever meet your idols, kind of thing, or. But that's so not true for you. I'll never
Well,
forget.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad to hear that because that is true. You got to be careful when you do meet your idols. They usually disappoint, but the thing is thank you so much, and you're just a little doll.
Hey, let's talk about Boulevards of Splendor. Last time we talked was, about 5 years ago. You put out Reverie. We were,
Hmm.
and I could tell that it was frustrating. And we talked a little off the record, and I'm not going to get into that. But, I know the backstory on Boulevards of Splendor and all that. We talked about that. Um, 10 years down the road now, and we see a release. Tell me how that went down. When did you get the call? Who was the call from? What was it like?
Well, when I was making the record with Bree, the motivator was when I reached out to Blackheart to let them know that I wanted to re-record one of my songs off this record because I didn't expect it to ever see the light of day, and then all of a sudden they kind of wanted to put out the record. I wasn't sure why, but I think that kind of started the ball rolling with Boulevards of Splendor is that I was going to make another record with a different company and all that. I don't know because I mean I'm just speculating, so I'm not exactly sure. But then they put the record out on vinyl for Record Store Day, and
Yep.
then to my astonishment, once we were going into lockdown, they said we were going to put this out on the 28th, and I was, a little surprised and shocked and not quite sure because I'd heard that before, and then
Right.
whether it was them or whether me falling off the scaffold or whatever it was, it just I didn't expect it. So it's amazing to me that it's actually out now, and that I got to listen to it and not have my heart ripped out. I
Yeah.
listened to the record and my instead of my heart being ripped out, my jaw hit the ground
Yep. Oh,
of
it
how
was.
good this record was.
It's
And
just,
then I was just so relieved because it's a fantastic piece of work. Really is.
it really, really is. And, I expected it to be great, and I thought Reverie was great. But this thing is just, it's so raw. It's like, it's your own kind of Runaways album. How that was so angsty and so raw and so pure. This is very much like that.
It is. It's the record I always dreamed of making when I left the Runaways. Instead, I made a record with my sister, and that was kind of taken away from me. Any kind of influence was, I wasn't treated the way I should have been treated by the producer at the time, and they just kind of stole that away from me and made it a Toto record. And look, I mean, I'm not going to say Toto's not a fantastic band, but that wasn't my style. This is the record that I've always dreamed of, and if I never put out another record ever again, for me to go out with this one, makes me a very happy person.
And that's so great to hear because, like I say, last time we talked, you were very frustrated. It sounded very like deeply emotional about it, and it was there was a sadness for sure. So and a lot has happened, and to hear you this happy about it, and to when it came out, I got chills because I knew how important this was to you, and that's it's pretty great.
Well, Scott, and thank you for the great review of the album as well. And I have to thank you so much. You say thank you for taking the time to do this for me, and I have to say thank you for your time to do this for me, because if it wasn't for you, I mean, how are people going to know about this record? But you did a fantastic review on it. I get to speak to you today, and you know what? It's so important that you know how grateful I am. Thank you.
And thank you. And I sit here and I get things dropped on my desk, and I can't cover everything, but I can't not cover this. It's just that good. You're just that special of a person. So I mean, this was something that I couldn't have gone another day without telling the world about this. So it's really it's something. And
yeah, I'm very, very blessed to know these really talented musicians that are just such good people. I've seen this business turn really good people into not good people. I've seen it all my life.
Yep.
And so when you meet people that are so talented and they are just good, like Billy Corgan and Matt and Slash and Brody Dahl and the Veronicas, it's kind of, you just sit back and you go, wow, thank you, God, because not everyone's assholes, and it's just so nice that you meet people that really are big stars that are just down-to-earth good people, and it just really gives me faith in humanity when I see that.
Yeah, and that's nice to have, that's for sure. The digital release has the 3 bonus tracks, so we got 15 tracks altogether. Now, is that everything?
That's everything, yes.
Bummer. I was hoping there'd be 10 more.
Aw, that's sweet, Scott. Yeah, that's it. There's no more in the hat.
That's cool. That's cool, though, that you got them all out, and they're all strong, too. That's the great thing. Even those bonus tracks, a lot of times they didn't make the album, so you figure, they're a little lesser. That is not the case at all.
Well, it's really fun because Bob Davis Monroe reached out to me when he saw that What Do All the People Know were on the record. He reached out to me on Facebook. And
cool.
God, and I sent him the track. Oh, okay. I hadn't listened to it yet, but it was on the PR thing that Ken had put together. Ken Phillips, our publicist, And, what Blackheart had sent, and the song that they had on there was not even finished. It only had one vocal and a harmony on there, and no solo section. But Bob said, "Oh, cool, I like it." And when I heard it, I literally, like a rocket, went out of my chair and said, "What the heck did I just play you?" But had Bob not reached out to me, that would have gone out to all the press. Kenny was unaware that it was incomplete, that it hadn't been mastered, and that's how quick they had put this record out. And there was no solo on that song. And I reached out to the great Nick Mayberry, and I said, "Nick, we need a solo on this song like yesterday." And he did a solo on it and sent it that evening to Blackheart, and the next day they had it mastered. They had found the right one with all the harmonies, and
wow, that's crazy.
So that's just kind of like right under the wire with that song.
That is crazy. That's crazy. And Nick is amazing. I had a chance to see your show with Bree. Didn't have a chance to hang out, and I'm sorry. I would have loved to have seen you. But the show was fantastic. And Nick, I mean, even from the other show, the Chicago show, Nick's been with you for a very long time. He's amazing.
Nick's been with me since Matt Thorne had put Grant and Nick together for us to open for Joan. Nick and Grant were very young, Aussies that Matt saw just a real incredible talent with them. And so he brought them on board to be in my band. But once the record was done, and probably 3 years after the record wasn't coming out, I decided to go on tour without a record. And Grant and Nick and Jake came with me.
Yep.
So Nick's been with me all this time. Yes, he has. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's fantastic. Tell me, Boulevards of Splendor. I know it's the Billy Corgan tune. It's a fantastic tune. It's the one that is kind of the square peg in the round hole. I found it, very different from the rest, but it's the one I go back to now. It's really, because it's so deep. What made you choose that song as the title of the album?
Because my son, Jake, I've always really appreciated his taste in music. Mm-hmm. And that's his favorite song on the album. Well, it was 10 years ago. And he just listened to the album for the first time day before yesterday because, he's very busy with his own musical career and acting career right now. But he was blown away with how great this record was. And even like Black Magic, which I'd never really listened to that much, or Bad and Broken, are also now two songs that just flip me out. I mean, Black Magic, I think is just, I can't wait to the top down in a car in the desert, blaze down a desert highway, getting with that thing blaring. I mean, it's just, all these songs are really good. And, you push them away, you don't want to listen, you don't want to think about it, because to me, it was just a missed opportunity. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So I cut it out of my life completely. In fact, I even had my house, I was putting my house up for sale, and I was going to build a couple of cabins, and I was in escrow for some land up north, and I was going to be done with this business. And that's when Bree asked me to sing backgrounds on the Fanny Walk the Earth record. And that's how I met her. And then that kept me here in town. And now this has happened. So pretty darn neat.
That is really great. Neat. That is cool.
Yeah.
Now, Boulevards of Splendor sounds pretty darn perfect to me. But you recorded in 2010, and I know how musicians are. We go back and hear it, and, well, maybe I need to up that a little, or maybe I need to move this over here. Did you have any of that with Boulevards of Splendor? 10 years later, you listen to it? It's right on the money.
I actually thought, when I listened to it, I literally thought, what the heck did they do to this record these last 10 years? Because it was everything I wanted it to be 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Tom Panunzio, we brought Tom in to remix it because he really is very talented. But the thing is I never got a chance to truly hear it. And, you know, again, Joan was touring all the time. Kenny wasn't available, and the record got shelved. And that's just what it's been doing for, 9 years now.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I mean, it's still as relevant today as it was 10 years ago, maybe even more so.
Right.
Because, we've had a lot of, I don't know even what's hot these days, to be honest with you. I listen to classic rock, but I can't even get through 5 minutes of the Grammy Awards because I don't even know who any of these people are.
Right.
So, and I think as rockers, I don't really think there's not even a rock station out here anymore in Los Angeles that I know of, except classic rock. Otherwise, it's all hip hop and rap, and I'm not into that kind of stuff. So
it's crazy.
This is as relevant today as it would have been if it came out when Elton John put out Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
just a great record, and that's all. Yeah,
yep, totally. Now there's news you're doing the audio for the audio book, and that book is just so amazing. It's so, heartbreaking and happy and exciting and adventurous. It's all of those things. To hear you actually tell the story is gonna be amazing for the fan. So how is that going? And what is that experience like? Because you're kind of reliving it. Is it enjoyable? Is it annoying? Tedious? How is that?
Well, I had to audition to actually do my own book. Isn't that funny?
That's weird.
But the thing is, because usually they hire people that just do it for a living, I suppose.
Right.
But the thing is I did tell them that no one could do it like me, but little did I know what I was walking into. Because it's one thing to write it, and I wrote the original with Neil Schusterman, the young adult version back in 1988, came out in 1989, which was because of Neil Schusterman being the most amazing writer, really of his generation. It was beyond a great book. But to turn it into an adult book meant that I just pulled out all the stops and told the stories I couldn't tell in that young adult book. Right. And Tony O'Neill is, in his own right, a fabulous author, but he's also an Englishman. And I would get in fights with him and say, Tony, it sounds like you grabbed me from a London prep school and dropped me in the San Fernando Valley in the 70s. This isn't going to work. But so I kept Preston and Sloan basically up all weekend rewriting it so that it came from me in the very end of it, because I had the final say. But right. I'm reading this book cold because it is 364 pages, and they're very tight pages. It's not that, tight sentences. It's a lot of words. It's well over 40 hours of audio.
Wow.
And let me tell you, since I haven't read the book in 10 years, I'm reading it cold, and then all of a sudden I'm there. And the tears and the screaming and the crying and all this stuff that all of a sudden just comes out of me, and it's gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It's just, it's really hard to even explain what it is, because, I'm just about ready to start chapter 10, and it seemed like every single chapter something just horrible happened. Just horrible and heartbreaking as a kid. So it's kind of like, and I know I'm not even to the worst part of it. But the thing is that I'm just trusting that I have to just do this once and be there, be present, and tell my story as it happened in real time, which means you have to go to a very unpleasant place, a place that not normal people want to go. Yeah. But you have to. You have to go there, and I'm a very sensitive person as it is, so I am there, and it's going to be a hair-raising experience for anyone that listens to this audiobook. I will tell you that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Just and your voice, even your speaking voice, is just it's captivating. But to hear the emotion that's going to come through that is going to be incredible. But tell me, did you add or take anything out from the audiobook?
No.
Okay.
In fact, we're doing the extended version, and I'm doing it to the letter. You really have to. There's only been one time where I turned around because I just switched words, but I was screaming and crying at the time, and I thought, too bad. I'm not doing this again. You guys can live with me switching these two words. They're still the same words, but I'm not going through that again. I'm not putting myself through that again. And, you can't, when something is real, when it's real and it's real, you can't buy that. It's just, it's like a Oscar-winning performance for some of these actors. This isn't an act. This is the real deal. So I think I almost feel sorry for the people that do buy this audiobook, because it's I haven't quite gotten to the good happy parts yet.
Right.
I've gotten through the real hard parts, but then it's going to get even harder. So it's just going to be, if you want to get out of your existence, then I strongly recommend that you get this book for anybody that listens to audiobooks. I have never listened to an audiobook. This is my very first time.
Yeah,
but I will recommend it. Yeah.
I love when the author reads the book. I have listened to him, and there is a certain spontaneity to it, and the emotion comes through when the author is reading their own book, and especially something like this. I mean, it's going to be an amazing adventure for anybody that is familiar with you or your story.
Yeah, and I seem to forget that. I helped edit the book and everything else, write it and then rewrite it and write it again and then edit. And so a lot of these paragraphs and everything come back to me almost by memory.
Yeah.
But the thing is emotionally, I had let it go. I let it go when I finished this book. So to take this ride again and say it out loud, because I never said it out loud. I mean, you write it down, Scott, but you don't say it out loud.
Right.
And then when you say it out loud, something else is behind it. It's a force to be reckoned with, for sure.
Yeah.
Because it is, it's mind-blowing how much we pack stuff down in our lives and in our past. Our history is just a library of things we have shoved down to keep ourselves alive. We don't want to say it. We don't want to talk about it out loud because it would be way too painful.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've seen so much.
Yeah. Well, once I'm done with this, I'm done. I won't go back. I mean, of course, I'll do interviews for it, but by that time, I'll be so Tefloned out. Everything will roll off me after this. Nothing will ever be able to hurt me again after I finish this record. This book. That is for sure.
Well, that's good to hear. Tell me, I know we got to wrap up, and you got a busy day. I got so much to talk to you about, but we'll wrap up. Will we see another album with Bree?
Right now, I don't know. We're still, the motivator is still out there.
Yep.
Things, this record's changed things a little bit. I believe I would like to go out and tour on this record as well. And so at this point, I say everything is possible.
Cool.
We do have a 4-record deal, but that is also with all parties agreeing to it. So I don't really know if it's something that they want to do or I think so. I know Bree and I wanted to make another record together. So we'll just have to see after I get this done.
That's cool. And yeah, you plan on touring. That's fantastic. Come to Chicago, please, please, please. Um,
Absolutely. I got to do this hard rock and roll stuff. I love it.
yeah, yeah, and you know what? I love seeing you. I love photographing you. And that's another thing. You know, if you ever want prints, just let me know, or files, just let me know. Um, you know.
Scott, listen, you know, COVID-19 or no COVID-19, when I see you next time, I'm giving you a damn hug.
Thank you.
Just piss off. That doctor found he could take a flying leap at the moon.
Absolutely, I count on it. So
Yeah.
you know, is that what's next for you? You know, life is complete now, isn't it? You know, and I know you're carving all the time, but you know, you got your dream album out. You might tour. Is there anything else? What's next?
Besides the audiobook, I do want to tour on this record because it deserves it. Number one,
Yeah.
it deserves it. And it is really a part of me. It's the kind of music I love. So it has to happen, I believe. So I'm just going to say it will happen.
Yeah.
Because if I want it to happen, it'll happen. So that's, I think, what's next in my life is to tour on this record. And it'll be fun to see people actually singing the songs back to me instead of me doing the shows and saying this is on the record that hasn't come out yet type of thing. It'll be neat that it's out. I can actually tour on a record that people will know. So that's really neat.
That is really cool. I can't wait to be there and singing at the top of my lungs and and giving you that hug. There's a hug waiting for you, my dear.
Thank you, Scott. You are just the greatest, and I love you, and thank you for everything, my friend.
I love you too, and so much. And yeah, please, let's make it sooner than you know, another 5 years. Let's talk again.
Oh, definitely. Well, when the book is coming out, we'll do that.
All right, awesome, awesome. All right, I will talk to you
Okay,
soon.
sweetheart. You take good care of yourself, sweetheart, and I'll see you on Facebook.
All right, love you much.
All right. Love you,
Bye-bye.
Scott. Bye-bye.